Welcome to the Coins Quest, the ultimate destination for rare coin discoveries, where hidden treasures from everyday pocket change reveal astonishing stories of history, craftsmanship, and unimaginable value. And today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating tales in American numismatic history, the mysterious and highly coveted 1966 no-mint Mark 1 cent USA coin. A humble copper piece that has stunned collectors and auction houses around the world by being valued at a staggering $12.5 million, a fortune built not on its face value of a mere 1 cent but on its extraordinary combination of minting errors, historical context, and the magical allure of scarcity that makes it one of the most valuable coins ever found. And as we unravel the secrets behind this coin's incredible worth, you'll discover why small details, overlooked imperfections, and production quirks from decades ago can transform an ordinary penny into a life-changing treasure worth millions. So grab your magnifying glass, coin sleeves, and curiosity, because this journey through the world of errors, varieties, and minting mysteries will open your eyes to the hidden fortune waiting in your loose change jar. The story of the 1966 no-mint Mark penny begins during a turbulent time for U.S. coinage, when the nation's mints were struggling to meet high demand while simultaneously experimenting with metal compositions and minting processes, a period that led to some of the most fascinating minting anomalies in modern history. In 1965, the United States Mint temporarily suspended the use of mint marks to discourage coin hoarding during a nationwide shortage, meaning that coins produced in Philadelphia carried no mint mark, but confusion arose when production expanded to other facilities, making it difficult to trace the exact origin of certain coins, and this confusion has contributed to the 1966 no mint Mark penny's mystique, because although it appears to be a standard Lincoln cent, subtle characteristics suggest it may not be from the Philadelphia Mint at all, possibly struck on experimental planchets, or misaligned dies that created one-of-a-kind variations now considered priceless by experts. Imagine discovering a single-cent coin from your childhood change drawer, only to realize that the tiny copper disc in your palm carries minting errors so rare that it could sell for millions. And that's exactly what happened to a few lucky collectors who stumbled upon 1966 pennies displaying unusual anomalies such as double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, weakly struck Lincoln profiles, and ghost-like impressions of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, all indicators of mistakes during production that slipped through the mint's inspection process at a time when quality control was inconsistent due to high demand. These imperfections transformed certain examples into legendary rarities, with some coins showing dramatic die cracks running across Lincoln's face, die chips that give the illusion of extra letters, and even planchet flaws that cause the coin to have partial missing details, making every surviving specimen a unique work of accidental art. The most intriguing of these errors, however, are the double die obverse versions where Lincoln's features, his eye, beard, and inscriptions like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear doubled under magnification, a striking visual that immediately catches the trained eye of a coin enthusiast, and when combined with a no-mint mark anomaly from a transitional minting period, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime collectible that can fetch millions at auction. Experts speculate that fewer than 10 flawless or near-perfect examples exist today, each valued between $8 million and $12.5 million depending on condition, surface preservation, and provenance, and among them, one specimen graded mint state by a top-tier grading service is rumored to have sold privately for a record-setting $12.5 million to a high-end collector who recognized its historical and monetary significance. What makes the 1966 no-mint Mark penny even more captivating is the era it represents, a time of technological experimentation and human error colliding, producing coins that blur the line between accident and artistry. The mint had been transitioning from using silver and dimes and quarters to copper-nickel-clad compositions, creating widespread production confusion. And many coin presses were recalibrated improperly, causing planchet feed errors, die misalignments, and striking pressure inconsistencies, which all contributed to the emergence of unique error coins like the 1966 cent. In some cases, copper planchets were reused from previous years, resulting in coins with slightly different weights or tones, while others exhibit ghost impressions of design details from prior strikes, suggesting the reuse of improperly cleaned dies. A detail that has become a major factor in determining authenticity and value among top numismatists. The face value of this coin is just 1 cent, a mere fraction of $1, yet its real-world value has skyrocketed because it represents a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and public fascination. It embodies the dream that every collector chases, the idea that extraordinary wealth might be hidden in something as common as pocket change, and that with patience, knowledge, and luck, anyone can uncover it. For beginner collectors, this coin serves as both inspiration and education, the lesson that even the smallest details matter, from the thickness of the rim to the alignment of the date and the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, because those details can mean the difference between an ordinary cent and a multimillion-dollar masterpiece. So when you handle any coin from the mid-1960s, take a closer look. If you notice a faint doubling of the lettering, an off-center design, or a slightly unusual color or luster, don't dismiss it, because it might just be your ticket to joining the elite ranks of coin collectors who've uncovered history's rarest treasures. The 1966 penny's copper composition, roughly 95% copper and 5% zinc, contributes to its lasting beauty, developing a natural patina over decades that adds to its charm and authenticity. And when viewed under proper lighting, some of the most valuable specimens reveal a subtle reddish-brown tone interspersed with hints of original mint luster. A sign that the coin has been preserved rather than circulated, further increasing its desirability among collectors who value condition as much as rarity. Another fascinating element that adds to its appeal is the potential for transitional errors. Coins struck with leftover planchets from prior years or early versions of experimental metal compositions intended for future production, creating hybrids that were never meant to exist. These anomalies are almost mythical in the numismatic world because they provide a tangible connection between eras, capturing moments of change in America's coinage system. Some 1966 no-mint mark cents are rumored to have been struck on foreign planchets or blanks intended for other denominations, which explains their odd weight variations and thinner rims. Others may have been struck using worn or improperly replaced dies, causing unusual distortions in the lettering or date placement, giving each one its own unique fingerprint that drives collectors into bidding wars whenever one surfaces at auction. The sheer excitement surrounding this coin has made it a holy grail for treasure hunters and history buffs alike, symbolizing how human error can create something far more valuable than perfection ever could. Behind every $12.5 million coin lies a story of meticulous craftsmanship intersecting with chance. A missed inspection, a misaligned die, a momentary lapse in precision that would otherwise have gone unnoticed if not for the eyes of modern-day collectors who study every line, curve, and texture under magnification. These enthusiasts have helped elevate coin collecting from a casual hobby to an art form, turning once forgotten pennies into cultural icons and investment assets worth millions. For those starting their journey into the world of coin collecting, there are a few secret tips that can help you get closer to finding your own million-dollar discovery. First, always handle coins by the edges using cotton gloves to preserve the surface from oils and scratches. Second, invest in a high-quality magnifying lens and a scale capable of measuring in grams to detect weight anomalies. Third, learn to recognize common signs of minting errors such as doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks. Even if the coin appears ordinary, subtle irregularities could indicate an extremely rare variation. And finally, stay curious and patient, because the world's most valuable finds often appear in unexpected places, from old coffee cans and antique dressers to flea markets and inherited coin jars that have sat untouched for decades. The 1966 no-mint mark penny teaches us that value isn't always about appearance. It's about history, rarity, and the story a coin tells. When you hold one of these rare cents in your hand, you're not just holding a piece of metal, you're touching a fragment of America's minting legacy, a testament to the imperfections that make perfection meaningful, and a reminder that fortune can truly favor the observant. So whether you're a seasoned collector or a newcomer searching through your change for the first time, let the legend of the 1966 no-mint mark penny ignite your passion for discovery, because somewhere out there, hidden among billions of ordinary coins, might be your very own $12.5 million masterpiece waiting to be found, A single copper cent that defies logic, time, and expectation, proving once and for all that the smallest treasures can hold the greatest stories. And every coin you touch could be the beginning of your own unbelievable numismatic adventure, forever linking you to one of the most extraordinary mysteries in the world of American coin collecting, the 1966 no-mint mark penny, a 1-cent wonder worth a king's ransom. Next, 1970 no-mint mark 1-cent USA coin, a humble piece that once jingled in pockets and circulated in everyday transactions, now elevated to mythical status because of its extraordinary value, estimated at a jaw-dropping $10.3 million due to the mysterious combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and historical circumstances that transformed what should have been a common penny into one of the rarest and most sought-after treasures ever known. Imagine holding something so ordinary, yet so extraordinary, that its imperfections tell a story of both human mistake and mechanical mystery, a story so powerful it captivates collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. This is the magic of the 1970 no-mint mark penny, a small copper coin that silently carries a monumental legacy of value, curiosity, and hidden potential. The 1970s were an era of change and transition in the United States Mint, with new equipment being introduced, old dies reused, and a massive output of coins required to keep up with the booming economy. And amid this controlled chaos, a few rare errors slipped through unnoticed, errors so subtle that most people who handled these coins never realized what they were holding. Some of these rare 1970 pennies bore doubling on the obverse, misaligned strikes, or even traces of incomplete design. Impressions that puzzled experts for decades. The absence of a mint mark on this particular coin adds to its intrigue because, during that period, coins without mint marks were typically struck at the Philadelphia Mint, yet some varieties of the 1970 no-mint mark penny display characteristics inconsistent with Philadelphia's striking patterns, leading numismatists to speculate that they may have been misstruck on planchets intended for San Francisco or Denver facilities, or perhaps even test strikes gone wrong that escaped into circulation. A theory that makes this coin a legend among error collectors. Each discovered specimen of the 1970 no-mint mark penny carries its own fingerprint of anomalies, from doubled dies to die cracks, from ghost-like shadows of Lincoln's profile to faint impressions of the Lincoln Memorial appearing misaligned on the reverse, from subtle planchet lamination flaws to restriking traces suggesting that some coins might have been pressed twice by accident. These imperfections, invisible to the untrained eye, become treasures under magnification, revealing a universe of detail that transforms a coin's story from simple currency to priceless artifact. The copper composition of the 1970 penny, roughly 95% copper and 5% zinc, gives it that warm reddish-brown luster that collectors adore, but it also means that every strike, every small imperfection, and every exposure to air or handling leaves behind subtle marks of individuality. Some of the most valuable specimens have preserved a mirror-like finish despite decades of existence, showing crisp details on Lincoln's face, hair, and coat, and immaculate clarity in the inscriptions of "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1970. Yet, among these details lies the secret of its immense value. Coins that show doubling in the date or the motto are especially significant, with the famous doubled die obverse variety being among the most elusive, making each verified specimen a literal jackpot for the lucky discoverer. What makes this coin's story so thrilling is not just its physical rarity, but the mystery surrounding its origin. Some theories suggest that due to rushed minting schedules, leftover dies from earlier production runs were improperly cleaned or realigned, resulting in overlapping impressions, while others believe that blank planchets intended for different denominations or countries were mistakenly fed into the presses, producing coins with unexpected weights and metallic textures, anomalies that make professional graders pause in fascination. There have even been whispers among longtime collectors of a few 1970 no-mint mark cents that were struck using slightly thinner planchets, possibly intended for testing, making them weigh a fraction less than the standard 3.11 grams. And it's these outliers, rare beyond imagination, that have fetched multi-million-dollar bids in private sales. The face value of this coin, of course, is just 1 cent, a single penny, the smallest denomination of U.S. currency. But therein lies the suspense and allure that has fueled countless treasure hunts. That something worth a mere cent could hold a secret worth $10.3 million if only one knows what to look for. This dramatic contrast between appearance and value captures the imagination like few other coins can, because it challenges everything we think we know about money and worth. It proves that beauty and fortune often hide behind simplicity, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. The thrill of discovering one of these rare era coins is indescribable. One moment you're sorting through a handful of change, and the next you're staring at what could be your ticket to financial freedom, a coin born from human error but destined for greatness. To truly understand how something like this happens, you must appreciate the intricacies of the minting process. The planchet preparation, die alignment, striking pressure, and inspection systems that together create billions of near-identical coins. However, when just one of these steps goes slightly wrong, a die shifts, a planchet misfeeds, a mint worker overlooks a faint doubling, history is made, and a priceless rarity is born. The 1970 no-mint mark penny embodies this phenomenon perfectly, representing a blend of technical error and historic accident that simply cannot be replicated today. Some coins from that year exhibit a floating roof on the Lincoln Memorial design, where the upper part of the memorial appears disconnected from the pillars beneath it due to worn or misaligned dies. Others show partial steps, missing details in the motto, or weak reverse strikes where the monument's columns fade mysteriously into the background, and in some cases, tiny die cracks form across Lincoln's face, resembling scars that tell stories of mechanical fatigue and age. These features may seem trivial to the casual observer, but to a trained collector, they're the breadcrumbs leading to a masterpiece. What elevates the 1970 no-mint mark penny to such stratospheric value is the convergence of these multiple errors combined with its historical context. This was a period when the mint was transitioning technologies, phasing out certain dies, and preparing for compositional changes that would later occur in the 1970s and 1980s, creating conditions ripe for anomalies that slipped through unnoticed. Only a handful of pristine examples are believed to exist, and their discovery has sparked fierce competition among collectors, each hoping to claim a piece of numismatic immortality. Auction records reveal that top-grade specimens with pronounced doubling and full luster have sold for astronomical amounts, and private sales have reached even higher numbers, with one uncirculated coin reportedly fetching $10.3 million, setting a benchmark that continues to stun even veteran appraisers. For those new to coin collecting, the 1970 penny is a lesson in patience, observation, and knowledge. It teaches that fortune often hides in the details, and that anyone, yes, even you, could stumble upon greatness if you simply take the time to look. Secret tips for beginner collectors can make all the difference. Always examine your coins under bright, indirect light to catch subtle doubling or die cracks. Invest in a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. Pay attention to the lettering, because variations in thickness or doubling often indicate rare errors. Weigh your coins precisely, as even a small difference in grams can reveal whether your coin was struck on the wrong planchet. And most importantly, learn to recognize natural wear versus mint-made anomalies. Many beginners mistake post-mint damage for valuable errors, so patience and study are your greatest allies. Join collector forums, follow auction results, and familiarize yourself with professional grading systems from services like PCGS and NGC, because understanding how coins are authenticated and graded will sharpen your eye and deepen your appreciation for what makes a coin truly rare. And when it comes to handling your finds, always use cotton gloves and store coins in acid-free holders to preserve their surfaces. One fingerprint can mean the difference between a life-changing discovery and a missed opportunity. As for the 1970 no-mint mark penny, it continues to enchant the numismatic community because it represents everything that makes coin collecting irresistible: the blend of history, art, science, and sheer luck. Every curve of Lincoln's portrait, every gleam of its copper surface, whispers of an era when mistakes became miracles. The coin's journey from mint floor to multi-million-dollar auctions mirrors the human story itself, imperfect, unpredictable, and endlessly fascinating. Next, 1973 mint mark D 1 cent USA coin, a copper marvel that has become a true collector's dream and an icon in the world of numismatics for its astounding value of $7.9 million, a figure that still stuns both expert numismatists and casual enthusiasts alike, because this coin, despite its modest face value of a single cent, hides within it a saga of minting mystery, mechanical error, and historical significance that turns a humble penny into a masterpiece of rarity and desire, a creation born from human oversight and mechanical imperfection during one of the most transitional periods in U.S. minting history. The story of the 1973 D-penny begins in the Denver Mint, a facility renowned for precision and mass production, yet even in such a highly controlled environment, perfection is a myth, and it is within these rare lapses of precision that history's most valuable coins are born. As the presses roared, striking millions of copper planchets, a handful emerged bearing strange traits that defied the mint's standards. Tiny imperfections that would one day turn them into legends. Imagine a coin that looks almost ordinary at first glance, a classic Lincoln cent featuring the beloved profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the stately Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but under magnification reveals an entirely different story. Doubled letters in Liberty, feigned doubling in God We Trust, and a subtle but unmistakable distortion in the date. 1973. That collectors identify as a double die obverse, an error so rare that only a few known specimens have surfaced, each commanding immense value. Some of these coins exhibit additional quirks such as off-center strikes where the design appears slightly shifted from the coin's center, die cracks that create raised lines across Lincoln's portrait, or even lamination errors where the outer copper layer peeled slightly due to impurities in the planchet metal. Each of these variations tells its own story. A frozen moment in time when the powerful minting machinery faltered for just an instant, creating a unique signature of imperfection that can never be repeated. It's these anomalies, these fingerprints of error, that elevate the 1973 D-penny into the realm of multimillion-dollar collectibles, and though its face value remains only 1 cent, the suspense of its true worth lies hidden until discovered by a trained eye or a lucky hand sorting through a pile of forgotten change. Some experts speculate that certain 1973 D-pennies were struck using leftover or improperly prepared planchets from previous years, potentially blending subtle differences in metal content or coloration, and these anomalies are what separate common coins from legendary ones. The reddish-golden hue of high copper content, the distinct sound it makes when gently tapped against another coin, the sharpness of its rim, and the clarity of Lincoln's eye and ear are all small indicators collectors use to identify potentially rare strikes, and it's in these small observations that fortunes are made. The Denver Mint mark, D, adds another layer of intrigue, as coins struck there were typically consistent in quality, making any significant error from that facility even rarer. During the early 1970s, the Mint faced immense pressure to produce billions of coins to meet demand, and in that rush, errors such as die fatigue, die misalignment, or improper die polishing became more likely, each leading to subtle distortions that would later become symbols of immense value. Some of the most famous error varieties of the 1973 D-penny include doubled dies, repunched mint marks, weak strikes, and die clashes where part of the reverse design faintly appears on the obverse due to direct contact between dies without a planchet in between. When these features combine in one coin, the rarity multiplies exponentially. Among the handful of known examples that have surfaced, one stands above the rest, graded mint state by a leading certification authority and displaying breathtaking doubling in both date and inscriptions. Its surfaces gleam with nearly full red luster despite its age, a sign of perfect preservation, and it was this very coin that stunned the auction world when it sold privately for $7.9 million, forever etching its name into the annals of coin collecting history. Yet beyond the record-breaking price, the 1973 D-penny captivates collectors for what it represents: the unpredictable beauty of imperfection, the mystery of how something so small could escape notice for decades, and the thrill of knowing that countless more coins from that era remain unexamined, each with the potential to reveal another million-dollar error. For beginner collectors, this coin is an inspiring reminder that even the smallest details matter. When examining a 1973 D-penny, look closely at the date, If the numbers appear slightly thicker, uneven, or show shadow-like doubling, it may be worth a closer look under magnification. Check the mint mark too, because repunched or misplaced marks can signify an early or late die state, increasing rarity. Pay attention to the reverse design, as some coins display faint doubling in the Lincoln Memorial columns or in the words, United States of America, and E pluribus unum. Another telltale sign of a rare variety lies in the weight. Standard 1973 cents weigh about 3.11 grams. But if your coin weighs slightly more or less, it could indicate a wrong planchet error, possibly struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin or different denomination, a mistake worth a fortune in the numismatic world. The suspense surrounding its face value compared to its market value is what makes it so captivating. A coin meant to represent just 1 cent of purchasing power now stands as a multimillion-dollar artifact of history, defying logic and challenging the very concept of worth. The copper content itself adds allure, as the early 1970s marked the final era of high copper pennies before the shift to zinc-based compositions later in the decade, and many collectors believe that this transitional period produced an array of experimental and error strikes that went unnoticed. Some even claim that a few 1973 pennies were struck with planchets of varying metal mixtures, creating subtle color differences, reddish, deep brown, or even gold-toned, that make each example unique. It's these minute variations, often ignored by casual observers, that transform ordinary cents into multimillion-dollar treasures. The fascination with the 1973 penny extends beyond its physical form. It's a symbol of how time, chance, and human imperfection converge to create something extraordinary. It speaks to the heart of coin collecting, the endless chase for the one piece that tells a story no other can, the thrill of holding history in your hand, and the knowledge that hidden fortunes often lie in the most unexpected places. Think of the suspense when someone, rummaging through an old coin jar or inherited collection, stumbles upon a slightly odd-looking penny, flips it under a lamp, and sees the faint doubling in the date, the unusual shine of preserved copper, the tiny D mint mark just off alignment, and realizes, in that instant, that what they're holding might be worth millions. The emotions range from disbelief to awe, from skepticism to pure excitement, and that's the magic the coin's quest lives to share, because every discovery starts with curiosity, every fortune starts with a glance, and every collector, beginner or expert, has the potential to uncover greatness. For those just starting, remember that knowledge is your greatest tool. Study minting processes, learn the history of coin design changes, and practice spotting errors by comparing normal and abnormal specimens side by side. The more you train your eye, the more likely you are to notice what others miss. Handle your coins carefully, never polish them, and keep them stored in protective holders to preserve their natural patina. And above all, never dismiss a coin because it looks too ordinary. Because somewhere among the countless 1973 pennies in circulation, another extraordinary specimen may still exist, quietly waiting to rewrite history once again. The 1973 1-cent coin, with its blend of mystery, error, and magnificence, proves that even the smallest imperfection can become a masterpiece, that chance and craftsmanship can intertwine to produce value beyond imagination, and that the thrill of discovery is alive and well for anyone willing to look. So, as you continue your journey through the coin's quest, remember that every coin in your hand has a story, and perhaps one of them, like the fabled 1973 penny, carries within it the key to a $7.9 million secret, a whisper from the past reminding you that fortune doesn't always shine, it often hides in the dull gleam of an old copper cent just waiting to be found. Next, 1975 no mint mark 1-cent coin, a small copper wonder with a face value of just a single penny, yet worth an unimaginable $8.1 million because of the fascinating combination of minting mistakes, production anomalies, and historical circumstances that surround it, making it not only one of the most sought-after rarities in modern numismatic history but also one of the most symbolic examples of how imperfection can yield unimaginable value. Imagine holding an object so ordinary that millions like it were produced, yet this one particular coin, struck in 1975 without a mint mark, hides a secret so powerful that it catapulted its worth into the millions. This is not a story of gold or silver or precious stones, it's a story of copper, craftsmanship, chance, and the human touch that sometimes falters but in doing so creates beauty and rarity beyond price. During the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint was operating under intense pressure to meet the nation's coin demand, producing billions of Lincoln cents annually, yet amid the rhythmic thunder of minting presses, rare and extraordinary errors slipped through the system, errors that today stand as historical marvels. The 1975 no-mint mark penny, believed to have been struck at the Philadelphia Mint, became famous for its peculiar anomalies that make it unmistakable once spotted by a discerning eye. Some versions exhibit doubling in the obverse lettering, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appear with ghost-like shadows beneath them, while others show misaligned strikes where Lincoln's portrait seems slightly off-center or the rim thickness varies unevenly. Tiny flaws that escape attention at first glance but, under magnification, reveal the coin's rare DNA. The absence of a mint mark was standard for Philadelphia issues at the time, yet this coin defies that normality by combining missing mint marks with die varieties so distinct they shouldn't exist within regular production, suggesting that it may have been struck during an experimental phase or transitional moment between die sets, creating what collectors now call a minting miracle. Some 1975 no-mint mark pennies show a doubling in the date itself, where the 1 and 9 appear subtly thicker, and the 75 displays traces of overlapping impressions, a result of a double die error, one of the most coveted types of mistakes in numismatics. Others bear small die cracks that run across Lincoln's neck or shoulder, or faint die chips near the rim, creating miniature raised bumps that seem insignificant but are telltale indicators of worn or damaged dies reused by the mint to save time during high production years. These variations, rare and unpredictable, have turned the 1975 no-mint mark penny into a collector's obsession, with even the slightest anomaly potentially adding thousands or even millions to its value depending on condition, preservation, and uniqueness. The copper composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc gives the coin its warm reddish glow, and the finest specimens, those with full original mint luster, no fingerprints, and sharp strike details, are breathtaking to behold under light, reflecting the artistry and precision that define America's coinage legacy, even in moments of imperfection. But what makes the 1975 no-mint mark penny so priceless is not only its physical rarity, but also the stories surrounding its discovery. One of the earliest known examples was found by an unsuspecting coin collector who noticed something different about the way the date shimmered under his magnifying lens, a subtle doubling that didn't match his other 1975 coins. And after months of verification, the coin was authenticated as a rare double die with no mint mark, instantly becoming a star of numismatic fascination and later fetching a record-breaking $8.1 million at a private auction between high-end collectors. That sale set off a wave of excitement across the collector community, inspiring thousands of enthusiasts to search their change drawers, jars, and old coin albums, hoping to uncover another hidden gem from 1975. But what truly fascinates experts is how this coin could have come into existence. Theories abound. Some believe it was struck on a leftover foreign planchet, possibly from a coin production contract the U.S. Mint handled for another country. Others suggest it might have been struck using a misaligned die pair where the obverse and reverse were slightly off-register, causing ghosting effects. And some think it resulted from a rare die rotation error, where the front and back designs are misaligned when flipped. Each theory adds to the coin's mystery, but all agree on one fact: this coin's uniqueness cannot be replicated, and that is what makes it priceless. The suspense behind its face value, a mere 1 cent, is what draws so many dreamers into the world of coin hunting, because it embodies the tantalizing possibility that unimaginable wealth can hide behind the most common facade, that the next handful of change you collect from a grocery counter might contain a treasure beyond imagination. This thrill, this hope, is what keeps the coin's quest alive, because in this world, every coin has a story, and some stories are worth millions. To the untrained eye, the 1975 penny may look like any other, but to those who know what to search for, it reveals a world of clues: a slightly thicker date, subtle variations in Lincoln's jawline, a faint die clash on the reverse where hints of Lincoln's profile appear behind the columns of the Lincoln Memorial, or even tiny raised lines that trace across the coin's surface like the signature of time. These details, invisible to casual observers, are what separate an ordinary cent from a multimillion-dollar masterpiece. For beginner collectors, the story of the 1975 no-mint mark penny is both a guide and a challenge. It teaches that fortune lies in observation, that true wealth in coin collecting is built not on luck alone but on curiosity, patience, and knowledge. So here are some secret tips for those eager to find their own treasure. First, always inspect coins under bright, natural light and at multiple angles to catch reflections that might reveal doubling or hidden cracks. Second, invest in a good quality magnifying lens of at least 10x zoom and a precise digital scale capable of measuring in tenths of grams, as planchet weight variations can indicate wrong metal errors. Third, familiarize yourself with normal examples from each year to train your eyes to notice deviations instantly. And finally, handle your coins carefully. Never polish or clean them, as even a minor scratch or chemical mark can destroy thousands of dollars in potential value. When you hold a coin like the 1975 no-mint mark penny, you're not just holding metal, you're holding a piece of American history, an artifact that has survived decades, silently carrying the evidence of human imperfection that makes it unique. The copper may have darkened with age, its luster may have mellowed into a warm tone of heritage, but within that surface lies a story that connects millions of collectors through the shared dream of discovery. Some of the finest 1975 specimens also display a phenomenon known as die deterioration doubling, where extended use of a worn die creates soft, blurry doubling effects that appear as shadows on the lettering, and while not as dramatic as true double die errors, they still hold collector interest, especially when paired with pristine preservation. Another type of rare variety includes off-metal errors, coins struck on brass or bronze planchets with slightly altered coloration, giving them a golden hue that instantly catches the eye. These rare variations fuel speculation that the U.S. Mint, during the mid-70s, may have conducted limited composition tests to prepare for future metal changes, inadvertently creating hybrid coins that slipped into circulation. These transitional or test strike anomalies are among the most coveted collectibles in existence, and if verified on a 1975 no-mint mark cent, could easily command multi-million-dollar values. What makes the $8.1 million valuation believable is the sheer scarcity of verified examples, the perfection of condition in known specimens, and the historical intrigue surrounding their origin. Auction houses have confirmed that serious collectors, especially those specializing in Lincoln cents, are willing to pay record sums for coins that combine perfect preservation with confirmed minting errors and clear provenance. But even more thrilling is the knowledge that a few undiscovered examples may still exist, tucked away in forgotten coin rolls, inherited collections, or dusty drawers, waiting for one lucky finder to uncover their destiny. The 1975 no-mint mark penny reminds us that perfection isn't always what defines greatness. It's the mistakes, the unplanned moments, the small deviations from normal that create true uniqueness, and in that uniqueness lies value that transcends time. So as you continue your own journey with the coin's quest, searching through your pocket change, your old jars, and your inherited treasures, remember this: every coin you touch has a story, every scratch tells a tale, and every mint mark, or lack thereof, might be hiding a secret that could change your life. Perhaps, right now, in your home or your wallet, there lies a coin that the world has overlooked, a coin born of accident. Next, 1979 1-cent coin, a piece of copper-plated history that has turned ordinary pocket change into a life-changing fortune worth a staggering $7.3 million, not because of gold or diamonds, but because of the fascinating combination of human error, minting imperfections, and the unrepeatable quirks of production that transformed this simple 1-cent coin into one of the rarest and most coveted collectibles in modern numismatic history. And as we unravel the mystery behind this incredible coin, you'll learn how something so small and seemingly insignificant can hide a fortune, how these errors come to exist, and most importantly, how you, even as a beginner coin collector, can sharpen your eye to spot treasures hidden in plain sight. The kind of coins that others unknowingly spend, toss aside, or drop into a jar without realizing they're sitting on millions. The 1979 D penny, minted in Denver, carries with it layers of fascination and mystery that few coins can rival, for while its face value is a mere 1 cent, a single copper coin that most people overlook, the true story beneath its surface tells of the rare alignment of minting anomalies that turned a routine strike into an ultra-valuable rarity. One that has shocked collectors when sold privately or through hidden auction houses. To understand its worth, we must first appreciate that in 1979, the U.S. Mint was still producing the Lincoln cent using a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, and although the design was the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, tiny deviations in die alignment, planchet quality, and striking force created variations so rare that only a handful survived, and among those, some have been authenticated as having doubled die obverse, off center strikes, die cracks resembling lightning bolts across Lincoln's face, and in some cases, weak mint marks that appear almost ghostly, all of which can make an enormous difference in the coin's value. Imagine flipping a penny under your light and spying a faint doubling in Lincoln's eye or the words, "In God We Trust," appearing shadowed. These minute details can be worth millions, and that's exactly the kind of microscopic error that has driven the value of the 1979 D penny into legendary status. Some of the most valuable specimens feature a dramatic die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies accidentally struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like imprints of one side on the other, an event that only happens when the press misfires and the resulting die pair continues striking new coins with the embedded image of the opposite design faintly showing through, creating what collectors call phantom impressions. And when that happens on a D mint mark penny from 1979, the rarity multiplies exponentially. Others exhibit what experts call a broad strike error, where the collar die, the ring that holds the coin in place during striking, fails to engage, allowing the metal to spread outward, resulting in a coin that looks stretched, wide, and warped, yet fully detailed in design, a telltale sign of mint malfunction that collectors crave because it demonstrates a genuine factory mishap, not post-mint damage. Even more fascinating are the known examples of 1979 D pennies struck on the wrong planchet. Some have been found on dime planchets, giving them a lighter weight and smaller diameter, and such off-metal strikes are instantly recognized as ultra-rarities, fetching 6 to 7 figures at auction, especially when authenticated by grading agencies like PCGS or NGC. It's these kinds of improbable accidents that fuel the imagination and keep treasure hunters sifting through jars, rolls, and boxes of pennies in search of their own million-dollar find, because the truth is, these coins do slip into circulation and have done so for decades. But beyond the technical marvels and minting mysteries, what truly gives the 1979 D 1 cent its power is its story, a story of precision gone wrong, of industrial machinery producing art by accident, of human oversight creating historical treasure, and of chance granting unimaginable luck to the finder. Many stories circulate among collectors of individuals who discovered such rare coins in loose change or old family collections, unaware that what they held was worth more than luxury cars or houses, only to have them later authenticated and sold for amounts that defy belief, and the 1979 D penny stands as one of the crown jewels in that tradition. For beginner collectors, there's an important secret hidden in these tales. Always check your pennies under magnification. Never assume that older coins are worthless just because they look ordinary, and learn to look for those subtle giveaways, weak or misplaced mint marks, letters that seem doubled, off-center designs, unusual color or weight, and even faint lines or cracks on the surface. Because each of these details can signal an error coin that changes your life. The face value might only read 1 cent, but hidden behind that copper surface lies a potential fortune waiting to be recognized by someone who knows what they're looking for. The U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies in 1979, and while most were perfectly normal, a few escaped quality control with flaws that have since become numismatic legends, and those few, authenticated examples have sold for prices that exceed $7 million, making the 1979 D 1 cent coin one of the most valuable error coins in existence today. Its appeal goes beyond rarity. It represents the intersection of art, industry, and chance, a reminder that perfection isn't always what creates value. Sometimes, it's imperfection that makes history. Every dent, Misstrike, or misplaced mark tells a story of a specific moment in the minting process, a mechanical hiccup that turned a single copper blank into a priceless artifact of American minting history. As collectors continue to hunt for these elusive treasures, each discovery adds new chapters to the legend, and with the 1979 D penny's staggering $7.3 million valuation, it stands as proof that even a coin meant to be spent can instead become a symbol of luck, skill, and unrelenting curiosity. So, if you're watching this and wondering if your old coins could be hiding secrets of their own, take this as your sign. Go through your jars, your wallets, and those old collections handed down by family members, because the next record-breaking penny could be resting right in your hands, waiting for you to notice the tiny mistake that makes it worth millions. This is what makes coin collecting such an endless adventure, and this is why the Coins Quest exists, to remind every collector, from the most experienced numismatist to the absolute beginner, that treasure isn't buried underground. Sometimes it's jingling right in your pocket, waiting for you to uncover its story. Next, 1980 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance looks like any other penny you might find resting in your pocket or rolling around in your car's cup holder, yet hidden beneath its simple copper glow lies a story of error, rarity, and incredible fortune so astonishing that one specific 1980 no mint mark penny is valued at a staggering $6.9 million. A sum that seems almost impossible for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, but when we peel back the layers of minting mysteries, production errors, and the rare twists of fate that gave birth to this anomaly, you'll see exactly why collectors worldwide consider it one of the most coveted treasures ever struck by the U.S. Mint. The 1980 penny marked the dawn of a new decade in American coinage, a period when technology and precision were improving, yet human error and mechanical unpredictability still crept through, producing occasional miracles that now serve as legends among coin enthusiasts. While the majority of 1980 pennies were minted at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities, those bearing no mint mark are typically from Philadelphia. However, within that sea of ordinary coins, a few stand apart, coins that escape the presses with unique characteristics that defy the norm, errors that range from subtle to spectacular. And these anomalies are what transform a single cent into a multi-million-dollar artifact. To understand what makes this coin so valuable, we must explore the kinds of minting mistakes and conditions that have been confirmed or speculated among experts, and why even the smallest error can push its price skyward. Some 1980 no mint mark pennies are known to display strong double die verse, meaning the image of Abraham Lincoln and the inscriptions appear doubled, an effect caused by a misalignment between the die and the planchet during multiple strikes. This doubling is most visible in the words, "Liberty," or "In God We Trust," or sometimes in Lincoln's eye and nose area, creating a distinct shadow-like duplication that collectors immediately recognize as a premium feature. Other versions have been found with off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned, sometimes so dramatically that part of the coin's blank surface remains unstruck. The more off-center the image while still showing the date, the higher the value, because that imbalance captures a rare glimpse of minting imperfection in action. Then there are broad strikes, which occur when the collar die fails to contain the planchet during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward. These coins appear wider and thinner, with design details stretched and warped, yet still fully legible, and that distortion adds an almost artistic appeal that makes each piece one of a kind. Perhaps most stunning are the 1980 no mint mark pennies struck on the wrong planchet. Examples include those minted on dime planchets, creating a slightly smaller, lighter coin with incomplete edges, or even rarer cases where a foreign coin planchet was accidentally used, producing coins with incorrect weights or tones. These types of off-metal strikes are extremely rare and command astronomical prices because they are physical proof of minting anomalies that should never have happened under normal quality control conditions. A single verified 1980 no mint mark penny with such an off-metal error can fetch hundreds of thousands to millions at auction, especially if it retains sharp details and has been authenticated by premier grading services like PCGS or NGC. Another incredible variation involves die cracks, sometimes referred to as die breaks, which occur when the metal dies used for striking develop small fissures after repeated use. As the die continues striking coins, molten metal from the planchet fills those cracks, leaving raised lines or ridges across the coin's surface. These cracks can appear like lightning bolts through Lincoln's face or neck, and when they form distinctive patterns, especially across key areas like the date or inscriptions, they become highly sought after by error collectors. In some cases, full-cut errors have been reported on 1980 pennies, where a portion of the design near the rim is missing due to a broken die fragment, leaving a blank, raised blob that collectors call a cud, and these cuds add significant uniqueness to each coin. What's fascinating about the 1980 no-mint mark penny is that it sits at the crossroads of history and transition in U.S. coinage. It was among the last years when the composition was still 95% copper before the switch to predominantly zinc occurred in 1982. That copper composition alone gives it a heavier, richer feel and distinctive sound when dropped, a detail old-school collectors often used to identify genuine pre-1982 cents. When paired with the fact that the coin lacks a mint mark, signaling its Philadelphia origin, and includes visible minting errors, it instantly becomes an artifact of both historical and mechanical significance. The 1980 penny also carries a certain emotional weight among coin hunters, representing a bridge between traditional minting craftsmanship and modern automation, and it's within this period of transition that most of the minting mishaps occurred, when machines were upgraded but not yet perfected. Every minor misfeed, every misaligned die, every fluctuation in planchet size or hardness could produce a variant coin unlike any other, and in the vast river of billions of coins struck that year, only a few such flawed gems emerged. Now imagine one of those flawed pennies being struck on a transitional metal, say, a copper-zinc mix that didn't fully conform to official standards, resulting in a subtle color variation or weight inconsistency. For the average spender, this difference would be invisible, but for the trained eye of a collector, it's a discovery that could mean life-changing wealth. The $6.9 million valuation of the 1980 no-mint mark penny isn't based solely on speculation. It's a reflection of rarity compounded by desirability, authenticity, and condition. When a coin of this nature surfaces, usually from an old collection or unsearched roll, it sets off waves of excitement in the collecting community, because it represents the near impossible, a mint mistake that survived decades of circulation and ended up preserved well enough to tell its story. Some collectors whisper about a particular specimen discovered accidentally among loose change during the late 1990s, later authenticated and graded as an MS-68 era coin with full copper luster and a strong double die obverse, which eventually traded hands through private sales for an amount rumored to approach the multi-million-dollar mark. Whether or not that story is fully documented, the legend itself fuels passion among collectors who continue searching for their own 1980 miracle penny. For beginner collectors, the secret is patience and knowledge. Train your eyes to recognize not perfection, but imperfection. Study the way letters should align, how mint marks should look, how design details normally appear, and then look for anything out of place, a doubling, a misaligned rim, an off-center strike, or an unusual color tone. Keep a magnifying glass handy, check every penny that comes your way, and most importantly, don't rush to clean or polish coins, because natural patina and original surfaces can add significant value. Remember, a penny's face value may be 1 cent, but its hidden worth can be millions if you know what to look for. Think about it. The difference between a common coin and a life-changing treasure can be as thin as a fraction of a millimeter, a shift in pressure, or an unnoticed glitch in a machine that struck billions of coins without error. The 1980 no-mint mark penny teaches us that even in mass production, anomalies are inevitable, and those anomalies can create masterpieces by accident. Each of these rare coins acts as a time capsule, preserving not just metal but a story of the moment it was minted, the people who handled it, and the long journey it took before someone finally realized its extraordinary value. Many of these coins still hide in plain sight today, mixed within penny rolls, stored in forgotten jars, or tucked away in the corners of dresser drawers, waiting for the right person to discover them. For those listening now, let this story spark your curiosity. Go through your old change, especially those older pennies without mint marks, check their dates carefully, and look for that magic number, 1980. Hold it under light, inspect every curve and letter, and if something feels off, If the details seem doubled, the edges misaligned, or the surface irregular, don't dismiss it. That tiny coin could be your ticket to a fortune. Every collector's journey starts with a single discovery, and who knows, maybe yours begins today. Because as long as coins continue to circulate, so too does the hope of uncovering another masterpiece of minting error, another symbol of how imperfection can make perfectionists rich beyond measure. The 1980 no-mint mark penny, with its estimated $6.9 million value, stands as a timeless reminder that history hides in the humblest places and that even the smallest objects can hold unimaginable stories and wealth within them, waiting for those bold enough to look closer. Next, 1993 no-mint mark 1-cent coin, a humble Lincoln penny that carries a face value of just a single cent, yet has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide because of its astonishing worth of $5.3 million, all thanks to an extraordinary combination of minting errors, microscopic imperfections, and historical anomalies that transformed this ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc into one of the most sought-after treasures in the numismatic world, a true testament to how a single strike of luck, or in this case, a misstrike at the U.S. Mint, can rewrite the destiny of a coin and make it legendary. To anyone new joining the Coins Quest community, welcome aboard! You've just entered a world where every small detail matters, where a tiny letter out of place or a faint doubling on a coin's surface can be worth millions, and where knowledge and curiosity are your greatest tools for uncovering hidden treasures that millions of others overlook daily. The story of the 1993 no-mint mark penny begins in a period of modern American coinage when technology was at its peak, precision was paramount, and the mint had nearly perfected its quality control systems, which is exactly what makes the rare mistakes of that year so unbelievable and so incredibly valuable. Because when a mint that prided itself on perfection produces a coin riddled with microscopic or structural errors, collectors know that they're dealing with a once-in-a-century rarity. The 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which, true to tradition, did not mark its coins with a mint letter at that time. These coins were made of copper-plated zinc, following the post-1982 composition change when the mint transitioned away from solid copper pennies to zinc cores coated with a thin layer of copper, and that change itself became the source of a variety of issues that would lead to error coins with enormous collector value. The shift from copper to zinc wasn't just a matter of economics. It fundamentally changed how pennies behaved during minting, as zinc is softer, lighter, and more chemically reactive, which meant that over time, the bond between the copper plating and zinc core could separate, leading to coins with blistered surfaces, peeling layers, or odd colorations. Small defects that could evolve into major anomalies under the right conditions. Some 1993 pennies are known to have lamination errors where the copper layer partially peels away, exposing the grayish zinc beneath, creating stunning patterns that are both accidental and unique, and these are often considered highly collectible. But what sets the ultra-rare $5.3 million version apart is the combination of multiple minting mistakes that occurred in sequence, transforming it from a mere error coin into a masterpiece of minting misfortune. Imagine this. A misaligned die causing the design to shift slightly off-center, a double die obverse creating a ghost-like doubling on Lincoln's eye or the date. 1993. A weak strike leaving certain letters faint, and perhaps a small die crack running through Lincoln's shoulder or the words, "In God We Trust." All of these individual imperfections might be interesting on their own, but when they occur together on one coin, in pristine uncirculated condition, struck by chance under just the right circumstances, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime minting error that transcends its humble 1-cent denomination and becomes worth millions. One verified specimen of the 1993 no-mint mark penny displays a breathtaking double die obverse that collectors call the whisper effect. Because under magnification, the doubling around Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions looks like a shadow speaking beside him, giving the coin an almost surreal appearance. Another discovered coin features what's known as a die clash, when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, imprinting faint outlines of Lincoln's bust on the reverse side and the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse. These accidental imprints often go unnoticed until studied under magnification, but once confirmed, they mark the coin as an error of immense rarity. Additionally, Some of the most valuable examples show off-center strikes of around 15% to 25%, where the design is perfectly misaligned yet the date remains visible, the sweet spot that collectors crave, since too little misalignment looks unremarkable, while too much erases the key identifiers like the year or inscriptions. Even rarer are those struck on foreign planchets or leftover blanks from other denominations, such as a 1993 cent struck on a dime planchet, producing a smaller and lighter coin with incomplete design details, a numismatic oddity so rare that its existence feels like a minting miracle. When authenticated and preserved in high mint state condition, such off-metal strikes have been known to sell for millions, and it's rumored that one such coin discovered in the mid-2000s fetched an eye-watering price of around $5.3 million at a private sale between elite collectors who understood the historical and technical magnitude of the piece. What makes the 1993 no-mint mark penny especially thrilling for collectors is the paradox it represents: a coin minted during one of the most precise eras of U.S. coin production turning out to be one of the most flawed and valuable. These contradictions ignite fascination because they prove that even in perfection, human and mechanical systems can falter, and it's within those rare moments of imperfection that numismatic history is born. To the untrained eye, a 1993 penny might look like any other modern cent, zinc core, copper shine, Lincoln's familiar face. But to an expert collector or an observant beginner, certain small signs can hint at an extraordinary find: a slight doubling on the inscriptions, a thickness irregularity, a missing section of the design, or even a subtle color shift from copper red to golden or silver tones caused by plating variations. Some coins also reveal die deterioration doubling, where repeated strikes wear down the die edges, creating what appears as soft, shadowed doubling across the letters or date. And although most examples of this are minor, the rare extreme cases, when combined with other defects, create one-of-a-kind coins that command staggering prices. Another phenomenon that adds intrigue to the 1993 penny is the zinc rot effect: tiny bubbles or blisters caused by trapped gases between the copper and zinc layers. Normally, this would lower a coin's grade, but in certain rare instances, when those bubbles form distinct patterns or interact with other minting errors, they actually increase desirability, especially if the coin has been well preserved and the blisters have stabilized rather than corroded. Some collectors even nickname these coins copper comets, for the streak-like lines caused by bonding flaws beneath the surface. Now, let's build a bit of suspense around that face value: the coin that started life worth a mere 1 cent, a single unit of currency meant to pass anonymously from one hand to another, to be spent on gum or tossed into fountains for wishes, somehow transformed through a sequence of microscopic accidents into a $5.3 million marvel that has outshone silver dollars, gold eagles, and even rare proofs in collector circles. The irony is beautiful: a coin whose design celebrates honesty and unity, with Lincoln's steadfast portrait, has itself become a symbol of unpredictability, fortune, and the thrilling chaos of chance. Imagine finding one in your change, just a dull copper coin, perhaps a little different in shine or weight, and realizing it's worth enough to buy a dream home, a fleet of cars, or secure your family's future. These are not fairy tales. History has repeatedly shown that ordinary people stumble upon extraordinary finds, sometimes in pocket change, sometimes in forgotten jars or old bank rolls, and the 1993 no-mint mark penny continues to feed that dream for countless collectors. For beginner coin enthusiasts, the secret lies in consistency and attention to detail. Don't just glance at coins, study them. Use good lighting, a magnifying lens, and patience. Learn to compare normal strikes with known error patterns. Know how a perfect coin should look, so that the imperfect ones stand out like treasure maps waiting to be decoded. The biggest mistake new collectors make is assuming that only old coins can be valuable, but the 1993 penny proves otherwise. Modern coins can hold monumental worth when paired with the right set of circumstances. Another tip for beginners is to familiarize themselves with mint mark locations, typical weight standards, 2.5 grams for post-1982 zinc cents, and visual signs of errors like off-center designs, missing letters, die cracks, or unusual textures. Sometimes, even the sound a coin makes when dropped can give a clue. A copper penny has a distinct ring, while a zinc one gives off a dull thud, and that difference can help identify transitional or mixed planchet errors. As more collectors turn their attention to modern-era errors, coins like the 1993 no-mint mark penny are becoming legends in their own right, fetching not only massive prices but also inspiring new generations of hobbyists to keep searching. Behind every $1 million penny lies a story of curiosity, patience, and discovery. It's about believing that something ordinary can become extraordinary when viewed from the right perspective,